Hello, today we're going to do a little unpacking or unboxing of the new FireTV Cube, which I got as a gift for my birthday, so let's see what it's all about. I'll open it up. Using bare hands, notice you don't need any tools. Just use the old, as in Russia they used to say, if you have strength you don't need brains. So we'll use part of it right now. Okay, anyway, it looks like this. Not a big box, kind of small box. FireTV Cube from Amazon. And it says, Alexa, turn on the TV, so you can use Alexa with it. And you can say things like, play This Is Us on NBC, tune to ESPN, things like that. So things you can do. It shows right there, it's a 4K HDR display, and it's got far field voice control, so it will hear you really well from across the room. It says what's included. It says Amazon Fire TV Cube, Alexa voice remote, 2 AAA batteries, power adapter, infrared extender cable, and Ethernet adapter. What's needed, it says high-speed internet, which I have, HDTV with HDMI input, which I have, Ultra HDTV to view 4K content. I don't have that, but maybe later on. And HDMI cable, which I have. So it says device control requires compatible TVs and audio equipment. So basically that's all it says. And it's got a bunch of these little, as you can see at the top, you can have all these different channels and, you know, everything you want you can supposedly have on this. So let's go ahead and open it up. So we'll open it up here. Shows there's a little, they show a little arrow here, so for those who are slightly challenged with technical stuff, they can know which way to go. Kind of looks like the arrow on an airplane to tell you where to go when the airplane crashes. Not that it's going to help any, but anyway, so we take that off. Cube comes out this way. So I think, there we go, good, okay. And then we have another set of arrows and another peel situation, so let's do that. Now that we have experience, we'll peel that off. Okay, so now we should have a box that actually opens. We got a big shiny Amazon logo, in case you forget who makes this cool device. And we'll open it up here. Opens up like that. Inside looks like this, and basically it's the cube itself. As you can see, it's not very big. It's got some buttons on the top. We'll open it in a second. Then it has the box with, I'm assuming, power supply and some other stuff. We'll see. And then inside, you can see, I'll show you inside here. Basically, it has some other, looks like a little Fire TV Cube manual. Shows what to do. Then we have Fire TV Cube. So that's the manual. And then it's got some instructions for Alexa. And this is, you know, don't drop it in water, that kind of stuff information. So we don't really need that right now. Then we have the voice remote. That's the new remote that they came out with a while back with Fire Stick. And now they have the Cube having the same remote. I have the original Fire Stick right now, and the original Fire Stick, and we have the 2 AAA batteries. The original Fire Stick I have, it's kind of slow these days, you know, because it's got a lot of wear and tear, and you know they upgraded software, but hardware has been the same. And then other than that, it's pretty nice. But having the voice capability, certainly, because a lot of times you hunt around for remote, trying to find it, should be nice to be able to use the voice. And even though I have a Google Home in this particular room, okay Google, what time is it?
7:15.
See? At the same time, it's nice to be able to do the Alexa thing too. So it's going to be a nice addition. So the remote looks like this. Nothing super fancy, super special. You can see based on my meaty hand that it's not that big, very nice to hold, ergonomically shaped. It has a few controls on it, very similar to the original, The only difference being it's got a microphone button at the very top, so you can actually push the button and talk to that to be compatible with older generation of these remotes, I guess. But you should be able to talk without even saying anything. You just talk to it, but maybe you have to push the button and I'll have to read it. But in the instructions itself for the remote, it comes with this little chart that shows how to put the batteries in. So you got these 3 steps. So what we'll do is we'll get rid of this little plastic enclosure on the front, because we don't need that. And so the remote is nice and open. And then in the back here, it's got this little indentation on the top. So you just kind of push on it and push it forward. You push it forward a little bit. It kind of opens up like that a little at the top, and I think it's just gonna, at that point, it probably just comes off. We're just removing it. Yeah, it just comes right out. Okay. And then you have the slot for 2 AAAs that came with it. And of course they sent Amazon Basics batteries because it's their stuff. And so then the batteries go, looks like the plus is on this side. Okay. So you put the batteries in, they both go, usually batteries go in different directions. These ones go the same. So the plus is on the, at the top of the remote. So that's where the plus is supposed to be for both batteries. You put that in there and put the cover back on by just slipping it on and then pushing it down, and so the remote is now set. So we're set with the remote. And so looking at these manuals, let's look and see what it says. It says now hands-free, something is always on, best of live TV. So they give you instructions of what to do in terms of actually using it. Voice control your music, voice control your smart home, ask Alexa, even with the TV off, which is kind of cool. We'll see how that works, but it's too early for that. First we need to set it up. So looking at the box, let's see what we have in the black box here. So we open up the black box, we have several things in there. So number 1, we have that must be some kind of little dinky receiver. It's just like a little black box with a long cable on it, and it looks like it's not a mini RCA attachment. It's maybe it is mini RCA. Yeah, I guess it is mini RCA. I could be wrong. Anyway, it's got attachment looks like this, and so we'll remove the thing that holds it together, and now we've got, you know, a pretty long cable, so you can put it quite a bit away, I guess. And so we'll get rid of the packaging on top of it. There we go. And it looks like this. It just says a little tiny little guy, black box, with an Amazon logo on it and a plug-in. Maybe this is something for sound, I'm not sure. We'll figure it out later. Okay, and then the second, oh, this is the infrared. That's what it is. It's our infrared controller. Infrared, to be able to send commands using infrared. Okay, and then you have the power supply right there, which is also pretty hefty in terms of size compared to the little infrared deal. And it has this kind of plug-in. And it's, you know, not huge, but good enough to sit behind my TV. So that's that. And then the third thing we have in there is the aforementioned Ethernet connection right there. So you have basically a micro USB on one end, and you have micro USB or Ethernet on the other end. Not or, both. So you can plug in both, I guess, if you needed to. Everything has Amazon logos on it, so nobody confuses this with Google or anything else. So this is the Ethernet adapter, which I won't need because I'm not running Ethernet. Wired, that is. And I think that's it, so that's all we have. Okay. Okay, so that's the contents of the black box. And then we actually will go ahead and open up this little guy. So I can figure out where. nice and shiny, which is not going to last long if you put fingerprints on it, but which is what I'm doing. But basically it's got, let's get rid of this thing. It's FireTV proper placement. So it's got a little instruction on that gets to be peeled after a while. So let's see what it says. It says FireTV Cube proper placement. It says unobstructed and facing where you sit. Okay, so I guess I need to put it next to TV or under the TV. In my case, it's going to be, yeah, it could be under the TV. It'll still face because of the infrared, I'm sure. At least 1 foot away from speakers, which is fine. Because, well, my speakers are actually in my TV, so I'm sure it'll be 1 foot. And it says not in a closed cabinet, so it has to be open so it can see it. And it says see quick start guide for more information. So okay, so we'll peel this instruction thing off from there because I don't want it. And it looks like it goes all around the cube. Right there. Man, they go all the way around the cube. So they made it super shiny, as you can see, which means it will get fingerprinted. It's going to have all this junk on it. So you can leave the instruction thing on there, and then it's not going to be, it's going to be available, visible, and everything else. Maybe that's what they meant. Or you can take it off and have it collect dust. Up to you. So it's got Amazon on the top. It's got little speaker and little legs on the bottom. I think it has a speaker. I'm not positive. It might have a speaker, but it's certainly, at least it's for certainly air circulation and nothing else. And it might have a speaker in there too. I think it does have a speaker. And the buttons are right there. So these are the buttons that they use for all the operation in case you want to use buttons. Of course, you don't have to use anything but your voice, but you could use buttons if you wanted to. Okay, so we have our Ethernet adapter, we have the power adapter, we have the IR extender cable. And so, okay, so I guess you don't really need to use the extender cable unless you want to put the cube itself in a different spot. That's probably what they meant. So maybe I won't even have to use it. Okay. It says where to place your device. Place TV Cube 1-2 feet away from speakers and with logo facing where you usually sit. This device acts as a remote control. It needs to hear you and should be unobstructed and not in a closed cabinet. To control entertainment components that are inside a closed cabinet, use the optional IR extender cable. Okay, that's what it's for. Okay, so we don't have to use it since it's optional. So step 2, connect your FireTV Cube. Connect one end of the HDMI cable into the HDMI port. So let's look at this. So we have on the back here, let's go through the ports real quick. These are the ports. So we have HDMI, the regular size HDMI plug-in. We have power plug-in. We have the infrared plug-in, and also we have the micro USB plug-in as well. So four plugins on the back. So it says connect, HDMI cable, number 1. Number 2, optional use Ethernet cable not included to connect to Amazon Ethernet adapter as shown. Plug the included power cable into FireTV and then into power outlet, and turn on your TV and select the appropriate input. Set your TV volume to your typical listening level, and then optional to use infrared extender cable. Plug it into the IR port on the back of your FireTV as shown. And just plug it in basically. Place IR extender cable in the same shelf as the devices you want to control. For devices multiple shelves, place the IR extender cable on the lowest level. So if you have something in the cabinet, it looks like this. That's what they're showing you where you put it. So it's over there, so the devices, so in other words, it could beam the information to some of these devices you want to control through infrared. So in my case, I'm not doing it, so I don't need it. And then it says power up your Alexa voice remote. Open the back remote, insert the included batteries, which we already did. If your remote isn't discovered, press the home button for at least 10 seconds. Using your Alexa voice remote, follow the on-screen instructions. And basically, in terms of buttons at the top, there is a on-off button that looks like a 0 with a line through it. Then it says there is a light bar. So the light bar is right there. You can see this white strip becomes probably blue, like Alexa usually does when you actually say commands to it. Then they have the volume down, volume up, plus and minus buttons. And then the last, they have a bunch of microphones in there. And then the other button is called the action button, which has a little dot inside it, right there. So those are all the buttons you need. And then on the back, like I said, we have the power port, HDMI port, infrared port, and micro USB port, which is not used for power, it says. So micro USB is if you want to attach additional USB devices to the Cube, then you can do it through that. So you're not using it for power. Power will come from its power supply. So basically that's it. And then they talk about a little bit about Alexa Remote, which basically has the microphone button for voice. It's got microphone built in too. It's got navigation circle here, which actually is a button. So you can push the inside button, you can push the outside button too. So it's got two things you can click on. And then it has the back button, home button, the rewind button, play, pause button, and fast forward button. So those are the buttons on the actual remote. And it says to get the most, download the Alexa app, which we'll have to do later. Talk to Alexa. Okay, so theoretically, you don't have to have the app. It says the Alexa app helps you get more out of your FireTV Cube. So that tells me that it probably could work on its own. I guess we can try it before downloading the app. It says it's where you manage your lists, news, skills, and more. So this is if you want to customize things, you have to have the Alexa app. But you can use it with basic stuff by itself, I guess. And talking to Alexa, you just say Alexa, usual deal. Of course, you can configure it to say things like computer instead of Alexa. So that would work too. Be like Star Trek. And then you can do different things with, turn on TV, turn off TV, and so on. It basically says full on-screen instructions, go to settings on your FireTV Cube to set up entire deal. So I won't go and bore you with all the details of the setup. We'll just do the basic setup, have it come up and show something, and then I'll have to do customizations with Alexa later on with using their app. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and do it? Now we know what to do. Let's take the power cord and plug it in, as they said. Get rid of all this plastic, which is extra needed. Come to a lot of people's houses and they have all this plastic on their deals and it's totally covered in dust. It's like so weird for me to see all the plastic in place. But I guess people are afraid they want to possibly return it, so they don't want to take the packaging off. So basically the Ethernet we're not going to put on because it's optional, we don't need it. And the infrared we don't need because I don't have any devices. So we just need the power, the Cube, and we'll use the remote. Okay, I'm going to go over to TV there. So right now, if you want to compare, by the way, the old remote to the new remote, this is the new remote and this is what the old remote looks like. So essentially, it's a little bit thinner. I take it back, it's exactly the same width. You can see that the buttons are virtually identical. No, virtually they are. They're just a tiny bit bigger on the new one. And maybe not. They're a little bit, I guess the ones on the old remote, they're kind of shiny. Plastic, and then on this one they're rubbery feel. It's like little pieces of rubber, so that's the difference. And the wheel itself is the same, but it's basically the same except for the additional remote. Which, by the way, in case any of you have Chromecast can use the same power supply as the Fire Stick. So that's the old Fire Stick, the one I had, the original that I had that came with it. So we'll put this here, and then we'll go hook up the new HDMI cable. Let's adjust the camera here a little bit. Let's see here like that. Yeah. So it came up with Fire TV, and I put the actual Cube on the right side there. So there it is. It came up with this. Now it made a little chiming noise. Let's see what it wants. it says tap the home button to pair. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the button that says setting up your remote. It says press play to start. So I'm going to press play to start. It says scanning for networks. So it's looking for a network. So I'm going to go ahead and find the network I want. And then I'm going to put in the password, which is, I'm going to take a brief pause here for this deal. 1 second. Okay, so let's go ahead and connect to the internet, provided I put in the right password. Connect it to the network. Okay, now it says checking for options. Oh, not for updates, I'm sorry, for updates. And it says downloading the latest software. I have a pretty good connection at home. It's 100 megabits up and 100 megabits down, so it shouldn't take long. But at the same time, it's not as fast as I want, so let's take a brief pause until it gets done. Okay, it looks like we're about to finish the updates and move on to the next phase of the setup. Okay, it says it'll reboot right now, so it's doing the reboot thing. And FireTV. Installing latest software. I can't tell you how fast it boots yet because, I mean, it seemed like it came up pretty quickly. But one of the things about the old Fire Stick was it's definitely a bit on the slow side, not to the point of being irritated and not wanting to use it or anything, but at the same time, you know, longer than you'd want to see while everything loads. Obviously, a lot of it has to do with internet speed, and even though I do have very fast internet, the router and everything is upstairs, and so down below here, the signal is nowhere near as good as it is upstairs, and I'm going wireless. So I'm not going at anywhere near 100 megabits. I'm probably going at maybe 15 or something, maybe even less than that. So it's not super fast, but fast enough to play with movies and everything else. Usually I don't have any problems. But this one hopefully will be faster. So anyway, it's installing the latest software right now. We'll let it install. Okay, we're getting towards the end here. One of the things, I moved the camera a little bit just so you can see the actual cube. You can see it's got this light bar that's kind of has a little line, blue line going through the blue bar there. So it's doing its things. You can see it in action, and it should be done momentarily, I would think, with the installation. So altogether, you know, the downloading took probably maybe 5 minutes, and then installation looks like another, you know, 5-7 minutes, something like that, maybe 10 minutes altogether. So it's not, you know, instantaneous when you set it up initially. I mean, you do need to take a little bit of time for it to do its thing, but it's not too bad. You just don't plan on watching it, you know, 2 minutes after you get it. It takes a little longer than that to set it up. All right, there we go. Okay, so now it's rebooting again, looks like. And I'm sure we'll see FireTV again. Might take a little longer initially because, like I said, it's installing everything, and looks like the blue bar is moving, so it's doing something, even though it doesn't show anything yet. There we go. And there's the Amazon logo, FireTV. I'm assuming it's going to ask me for my Amazon account next because it doesn't know who I am at this point yet. It's scanning for networks. checking for updates. So it's doing the whole thing again. And now it says sign in with your Amazon account. So I'm going to do that right now. So it says successfully logged in. Also, it showed two icons initially when I was signing in. One to sign in because I already have an account. And then it says, do you want to create a new account? So you have a choice. If you don't have an Amazon account, you can create it right then and there. And then it says, your Amazon Fire TV Cube is registered to Oleg Moskalinsky. Do you want to use this account? And it says, change my account or continue. I'm going to continue. Save Wi-Fi password to Amazon. No. The reason I don't save usually these kind of things on other devices is because if some site gets compromised, then potentially they can get my information. So it's best when people ask you, do you want to save your credit card with this website, so or save it, with this transaction, so you don't have to put it in again next time you buy from us. It's best not to do this. It's easy enough to enter credit card information an extra time, because people do get compromised. The biggest companies out there, I don't care how big the company is, they all get compromised. And so it's best not to give people any easier way to get to your stuff than you have to. So in my case, if I have to take a little bit of inconvenient time and enter the Wi-Fi password again, I'll do it if I need to do it. So I'm going to say no. And then it says enable parental controls. I have kids, but I don't need to enable those at their age. And choose your streaming services. Everything is free to add. Some will require payment for full access. So I'm going to say no thanks for now. Enable Alexa to control devices. That I'm going to do. So I'm going to say continue. And now it's doing its thing. It says it needs line of sight. And then it's got the, okay, let's see what it says next. Okay, so it says, not to be in closed cabinet, don't obstruct it, and all of that. Basically the same thing we talked about before. Are you using soundbar or a receiver? No. I just use my TV. And, well, now turn your TV off and on, okay?
Turning your TV off. This may take a minute. Please wait.
Okay, so apparently they figured out.
TV back on. This may take a minute. Please wait.
So obviously turned it off successfully. And if the red light on the bottom comes up, then it means they turn it back on again. Let's see. Either they're having a problem or it takes them a little longer than normal. And there it's on again. So okay, so they figured out how to do it. So notice that is done completely automated. So I don't have to put any codes or brand names or anything. And so it says next, we're testing volume. Can you hear music playing from your TV? Yes. Muting the music and bringing it back. Okay, so it's mute. And then now it's playing again. Did the music mute and come back? Yes. Now we're going to learn how your Fire TV Cube is connected to your equipment. Okay. Which input is your TV set to? I think it's HDMI too. Using your TV remote, please change the different input. For example, antenna or cable. We will come back after a few seconds. Okay, so I'm going to change.
Switch to a different input. Press fast forward on your Fire TV Cube remote.
Use the input. So if I go to TV, for example.
When you switch to a different input, press fast forward on your Fire TV Cube remote.
So now I'm pressing fast forward.
Your TV Cube input.
And it jumps right back to my auxiliary, which is exactly what I wanted. Cool. So in other words, I'll be able to switch from TV and back. We're back. We can now switch.
If you're not seeing the Fire TV Cube screen, press rewind on your Fire TV Cube.
Yeah, so you can do it, but we did it fine, so I'm just going to click on next. It says your TV Cube is set up. You can always go to settings later to add voice control for your cable satellite service. Let's take a quick tour now. So I'm going to click on continue.
Welcome to your new Fire TV Cube. Access today's most popular shows, movies, and apps from Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Stars, Showtime, Prime Video, and more. In the next few minutes, you'll see how to control your TV hands-free from across the room. Just ask Alexa, the brain behind Amazon Echo. With a simple request like, Alexa, play Despicable Me, FireTV Cub powers on compatible TVs and sound systems and starts playing hands-free. You can also search by title, actor, or genre. Alexa, find comedies. Once you find what you want, say, Alexa, play number 3. Then use your voice to control how you watch. Alexa, turn up the volume. With your new FireTV Cube, you can do more than stream. Invite your friends over for a dance party. Alexa, play Walk the Moon. And even when the TV is off, just say the wake word, Alexa, to get information, check the news, or control your smart home devices. And remember, Alexa is always getting smarter. For new things to try, just ask, Alexa, what can I do? With Amazon Prime, get unlimited access to tens of thousands of popular movies and TV shows, plus millions of songs. And as always, free 2-day shipping. The new FireTV Cube. Control your TV hands-free from across the room. It's time to put down the remote and pick up the popcorn. What are you going to ask Alexa first?
Okay, so it seems like it's pretty simple. Now this stuff came out much faster than my old FireTV did. I mean, the display here. Alexa, open Netflix.
Here's Netflix.
Okay, so I'm sure you need to download it before you can use it. I'm not going to do it right now because I have to put in my credentials and everything else. So I'm going to hit the home button, and then it goes right there. And then let's go ahead and say, Alexa, play Despicable Me.
Here's what I found.
They don't have any of them for free right now. Alexa, play number 4.
Find the thing that makes you happy and do that.
Don't you want to try something new? No, you can do that. Pink is one cool cat.
We'll have to make sure we watch that one. Okay, let's see what it does. So you can see it loads, everything is pretty smooth. The quality of the display is excellent. I mean, we have a good TV, it's just HD TV, it's not 4K, but it can do 4K too. And obviously, you know, yeah. Alright, Alexa, pause. So you can do that. Alexa, play. Alexa, stop. Alexa, go home. So just like OK Google, the Alexa part obviously becomes a little old. But you know, like I say, you can change it to a different word, or they have to have something you can talk to it with. So now let's try to see, you know, like the weather. Alexa, what's the weather like? Alexa, what's the weather like?
Right now in Kirkland, it's 51 degrees Fahrenheit with cloudy skies. Today's forecast has clouds and showers, with a high of 55 degrees and a low of 39 degrees.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. Okay, well, let's do this. Alexa, turn off TV. So it shuts down, and then we can still supposedly talk to it. Alexa, what's happening tomorrow?
I did not find anything.
Alexa, what's the square root of 2056?
186 is 45.343136.195.
Okay. Alexa, play some Beatles.
Shuffle in your songs by the Beatles on Amazon Music.
Notice it turned on TV. I didn't tell it to, but apparently it's going to play through because I told it my speakers on my TV. It turns it on, so it doesn't look like it plays through its own speaker. Yeah. So it plays on TV and turns it on. Okay. Alexa, play next. So you can see you get lyrics and you get. Alexa, play next. How about something a little more modern? Sorry, George. Alexa, play next. Alright, here we go. A little bit more upbeat. Alexa, volume higher. Alexa, stop. Okay, so anyway, so hopefully you get the idea of how the thing works and what it does, and that's pretty much it. You know, you just have to log into if you go to different apps, you log into different accounts and get it all set up initially. It takes a little while, but after that you're up and running and you can just use your voice. I didn't practically use this at all, the remote, to say anything or do anything. You just talk to it and that it does the job. So you can use remote, you can go completely remoteless and just use your voice. So it's faster than the old one was, quite a bit actually so far. And streams nice, you know, pretty easy to set up. As you can see, I didn't have to do a lot of reading of the manual or do a lot of steps or anything like that. And so if you do have internet coming as an Ethernet connection, you know, so if you have access to an Ethernet cable, you can plug it in, which will go a lot faster. Even in terms of internet, will be the best way to get the internet to the Alexa Cube would be through Ethernet cable, because that would be the fastest connection, so you'll have the best results. But even if you go with wireless, like I have it set up, you can still see it's working just fine. So you can do that. If you have some additional devices that require infrared control, you just plug in the little infrared box and put it like they stated where to put it, and that will work just fine. And so, yeah, I mean, the initial, I think it sells for about $120, $130. I actually got it at a special sale on HSN for half price. It was like 65 bucks. So I think it's an unbeatable deal for that kind of money to get something like that, especially considering the fact that when I break to 4K TV, which will happen at some point in the future, then it's already ready to go and being 4K content there, because they already have a bunch of content in 4K. So definitely recommend it. If you don't have anything, it's a worthwhile thing to get even for 130 bucks to stream your video. You can, you know, if you're paying a bunch of money for cable, you can get rid of your cable and you can have, you know, Alexa doing its thing. If you have something, if you have like a T-Mobile account, they actually pay for your Netflix subscription.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
If you have Amazon Prime, you have, as it said, a bunch of movies and everything else that you get in addition to, so definitely recommend Amazon Prime. You have a bunch of movies and videos and shows. And then if you have T-Mobile as your carrier for your wireless phones, then definitely make sure they set you up with them paying for Netflix. So in our case, you know, they pay for Netflix, we have Netflix, we also have Amazon Prime because we buy stuff from Amazon. So you get tons and tons of content. You don't need any kind of cable or anything like that. You can get the regular antenna, you can buy for $30, $40, $50 one time, and it'll give you all your local channels. Not great quality, some of them sometimes depending on the weather, but most of the time it's totally acceptable to watch. So you can get all your local channels, and then you get like your Netflix and or Amazon. It's got so much content you'll never be able to watch it anyway. So it's really, really good. If you already have Chromecast, should you get this thing? It depends on what you're trying to do. If you're simply trying to do something like streaming Netflix, or even now, well, you won't be able to stream Amazon. I mean, that's one thing you cannot do, is it doesn't work. You know, there's a feud between Google and Amazon, so they don't sell or provide each other's products. So if you want to be able to stream from Google services, from Google Play, there are Google Movies and things like that, you have to use Chromecast. You will not be able to do it with this. If you don't care about Google content and you want to do just Amazon and Netflix, then this is all you need. You don't need anything else. On the other hand, if you already have Chromecast and you already have Netflix and that's good enough for you, this would be extra. You don't need it for anything, so don't even spend the money. I mean, obviously it's your money, it's up to you, but I wouldn't spend the money as an extra. But if you like the ability to control things with voice fairly easily, as it does here, as you can see, and if you don't have some of these other, if you don't have Chromecast, for example, things like that, then it's a nice thing to have, to be able to watch all kinds of content, play music, and you can see it's got tons of options, and it would make it doesn't need that much room. And in terms of should you get Fire Stick or should you get the Cube, I think Cube is a lot nicer in many ways. If you have a 4K TV, it's a no-brainer. You need to get this. I think the latest Fire Stick they came out with might be able to do 4K too. I'll have to double check on it, I'm not sure. But if it doesn't, then definitely this is a no-brainer to get this instead of Fire Stick. But if you don't need, if only you need just the basic capabilities, then just regular Fire Stick would be half price to get that. You don't need to get the Cube thing. But it's nice to have this, to be able to control other devices and be able to have its capabilities and have access to Alexa all the time and so on and so forth. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up, and this was the unboxing of Amazon FireTV Cube, and with that, thank you. And thank you to my father for buying this for me for my birthday.